All right, welcome into the week 11, week 12. I can't remember which week we're in. It's the last week of the regular season, so it's going to be our last regular season update. I'm not entirely sure if we'll continue these in the playoffs. We very well might. And apologies for not putting one out last week. Just the work week got away from me and just a little tied up. But last week of the regular season, we got to be on top of our games, ready to go. A lot of important ball games this Friday, and it's Halloween as well, so a lot to be excited about. We're going to start with an illegal motion play, and pre-snap awareness has been a point of emphasis for all season. A couple of good things to talk about this play. Can't really tell, but it is 4th and 5 from the 6, or 4th and 4 from the 5. So it's 4th down, but the offensive team can obtain a first down if they get to the 1, and we have the goal line. So we have a lot of things going on there. Let's talk about the illegal motion first. You see this player kind of comes up to the line. They're clearly moving forward when the ball is snapped, and you can see the short wing on the near side. We get a flag down for this. This is absolutely correct. Has to be called 100% of the time we get a flag down. So good job on that. Mechanically speaking, you can see both first short wings do get to the goal line, and that's fine. I'll be honest with you, on a 4th down, when we can achieve the line to gain, I would actually prefer both short wings on this play. Instead of going straight to the goal line, go to the line to gain first, because that's obviously critical, especially since it's the 1. That way, if you can see that the runner is going to maybe threaten the goal line, if you're at the 1, you're at a decent position. But on 4th down especially, I would actually prefer us to just go ahead and work the line to gain first. So instead of going to the goal line, going to the 1, we choose the goal line. It's fine. It ends up not making an impact on the play as the offensive team catches a touchdown. That's going to be called back for the illegal motion. So short wing on the near side, one thing to add, just to coaching's point, we do need to go ahead and signal touchdown because this is a touchdown and that matters. The result of the play does matter. Now we all know this is going to come back, but we do need to give a brief touchdown signal just so that we do notify everyone in the stadium that the result of the play is a touchdown. It's obviously going to be called back for the penalty, but go ahead and signal touchdown. So overall, decent work here. A couple things we can improve on. Excuse me. Play 76 is an interesting one. And I wanted to put this one towards the front of the film because it's just such an interesting play. The offensive team is punting, and it's important to note we are punting from the 37. We're punting from the 37-yard line. So, as high school kickers are prone to do at times, we get a really, really bad snap. And anytime we get a bad snap, that should alert us that we could have potential problems. So we get a bad snap, and then we get a bad kick because high school players are not great. And you can notice this ball is immediately low. So short wings, what's our job on a punt play? Hold the line of scrimmage. Especially once you get this bad snap, you need to be thinking about line of scrimmage rules. And he kicks it low. You can see it's a really low kick. And we have it circled here. This punt then hits off the kicking team player, hits him in the right shoulder or right arm area, then deflects out to the side, then hits the receiving team player in the knee, at which point the kicking team falls on it. So this is an interesting play. Very, very tough play. So the first thing we have to rule is, was this touching by the kicking team beyond the neutral zone? And you can see we're punting from the 37. The snap was the 37. And when this ball hits the kicking team player, he is in or behind the neutral zone, which was the 37. He is in or behind the neutral zone. And the touching of a low scrimmage kick, which this definitely was, in or behind the neutral zone is ignored. So this touching by the kicking team player is completely ignored. It basically does not happen. That's the way we're going to officiate it. Does the ball touch the kicking team player? Yes. But by rule, the touching of a low scrimmage kick in or behind the neutral zone is ignored. So this touching by the kicking team is going to be ignored. And your rule reference on that is going to be Rule 6, Section 2, Article 6. 626 is the rule reference on that. So that's ignored. Then the ball continues on, and it bounces up and hits the receiving team player. When it hits the receiving team player, the ball is clearly beyond the line of scrimmage. So the second it hits the receiving team player, now if any team that falls on it, it's going to get 1st and 10. So the kicking team falls on this ball right here, and properly officiated, we should give the ball back to the kicking team, and they get a 1st and 10. They did not obtain the line to gain, but that does not matter. If a receiving team player touches the ball beyond the line of scrimmage, which he does right here, no matter what, at the end of that play, whoever ends up with the ball is going to end up with 1st and 10. So the receiving team player touches the ball here beyond the line of scrimmage. It then bounces back. The kicking team player falls on it. Properly officiated, the kicking team should get the ball 1st and 10. So again, it's a very, 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 very difficult play, is what I'll say. The important thing to note here is this touching by the kicking team is in or behind the neutral zone. You can see when the ball hits him, the line of scrimmage is the 37. He is not beyond the line of scrimmage. It is in or behind the neutral zone. So the touching by the kicking team is ignored completely. It then hits a receiving team player beyond the line of scrimmage. So when the kicking team falls and recovers it, we should give the kicking team the ball 1st and 10. So really, really interesting and difficult play. That's a good opportunity for us to learn from. Play 45, we flagged this for, you'll see we get a deep pass, and we get a flag from the short wing on the opposite side, who was the line judge, for an eligible downfield. And a couple things I like about this. It is the line judge's primary call. And then the second thing we've talked about throughout the season is we always want the backside short wing to have the primary on this. And since the ball is thrown to the near side of the field, the short wing on the far side, and this is the first half, so this is the line judge. The backside wing is going to have secondary coverage. So I like that the short wing is thinking about this. Something to keep in mind, RPOs are really tough. And I don't want us to get in the habit of nitpicking ineligibles downfield on RPOs, because if you try to nitpick it, you're going to get more plays wrong than you get right. Let's stick to the obvious on ineligibles downfield, especially on RPOs, because when the pass is thrown, you can see that there's no lineman. The line of scrimmage is the 42. There is no lineman beyond the 45 when the pass is thrown. By the rule book, the expanded neutral zone is 2 yards, so that's to the 44. We have told you all our rule of thumb is give them an extra yard, and so they need to be more than 3. And nobody is more than 3 at this point. If in doubt, this is not a foul. And so we would rather just play on here with no foul. So technically it's by 2. By philosophy, we typically give 3. And you can see when the pass is thrown, no lineman is more than 3 yards downfield. So we would say that we would rather not have an ineligible downfield on this call. Technically correct, but we don't want to be technical on ineligibles downfield. The coaching point on this is a lot of times when you see this play, you're not going to recognize it until about this point. And then you're going to see, oh, well, this lineman is 5 yards downfield. Because that's how the human brain works, right? You can't see 3 different things at once. So you process it and you say, oh, well, this lineman's 5 yards downfield. But when the pass is thrown, which is right here, no lineman is past 3. So just recognize that your eyes are gonna be slow and you're not gonna get to it till this point. So that's why we again say, if in doubt, we just want to play on and not have a foul here. Play 31, first thing I want to look at is this hit on the quarterback. Clearly late, clearly unnecessary. The defender had plenty of time to let up. He punishes. This is pretty violent. We get a correct call for a roughing the passer here. So that's the first thing. Just completely unnecessary and late. He has plenty of time to let up. So this is a correct call for roughing the passer, and we get it. The next thing I want to talk about is the hit on the receiver. So he's going to throw the pass here to this outside receiver. The first offender is trying to make an attempt to wrap up. right? He does grab him around the head or neck, but I think this is an attempt to wrap up. So I'm actually kind of okay with this. But the safety comes in here with no other intention other than to punish. And this receiver is still defenseless. He is not transitioned to a runner. So the receiver is defenseless. And so the defender is not allowed to make contact in a way that is intended to punish. He must either attempt to wrap up or he must use open hands. He does neither. He instead just lowers his shoulder into the receiver. This is a foul for an illegal hit against a defenseless receiver. So we should have a foul on this. Now, again, we had the roughing the passer, so the enforcement would have been pretty much the exact same, but we would have also supported an illegal hit against a defenseless receiver by the safety. The DB here, I think it's fine. It's ugly, but he is attempting to wrap up. He's not trying to punish here, but the safety comes in here and lowers his shoulder and punishes against the defenseless receiver. This should be a foul. Play 37, we're going to watch our slot receiver. I'll put you a circle. It's the slot receiver on the near side. And we're going to be watching both him and the DB. So you can see the DB starts to step up in coverage. And they kind of come together and they go to the ground. But look at the receiver. The receiver kind of runs into the defender and clearly kind of initiates contact with his forearm and kind of pushes the defender back. Then after that, so the receiver initiates contact, and then the DB will then grabs on and pulls the receiver down. So there are two ways to officiate this, and this was a 7-person crew, and we are in the first half. It doesn't really matter first half or second half, to be clear. This was the back judge's responsibility. In a 2 receiver set out wide, so the back judge should be all over this. There are two ways to officiate this. One is, hey, you both did something wrong, so no call, and I would support that. A no call is supported on this because you can't call defensive holding and you can't call OPI, or you could call both, right? You could call offsetting fouls on this. And if you called a foul on both players, you said, hey, the offensive player committed OPI because pass interference restrictions for the offense start at the snap. So the offensive player committed OPI and then the defensive player committed defensive holding. If you called that, you got my support. I actually kind of prefer a no call here. Right? They both do something silly. Nobody gets a foul. And so I can support either one, different ways of going about it. But an interesting play. The coach actually sent this in and wanted to call defensive holding. And the point we made was, coach, your player initiated the contact. And so it's a good job here you got to see the whole play, right? And that's why it's important that we stay with our initial responsibilities. Play 93 is a very, very tough play, and I'll admit that. So we get a kickoff here, and they pooch kick it. So this player does not waive for fair catch. The receiving team player does not waive for a fair catch. But it's important to note, even if the receiving team does not waive fair catch, they must be given an unobstructed opportunity to complete the catch. Unobstructed opportunity to complete the catch. And something we've talked about a lot over the years is you can have KCI without contact because he must be given an unobstructed opportunity to complete the catch. And what you have to ask yourself is, does the kicking team player that's running in at him cause him any difficulty or obstruct him in any way in completing this catch? In our opinion, he does. He jumps up in front of him in a way that, and if I slow it down, the kicking team player jumps up at him in a way that it causes the receiving team player to sort of, right here at this moment, sort of back away from the ball, right? So is there contact? No. But the kicking team player jumps in front in a way that causes the receiving team player to kind of alligator arm it and jump back. That's enough for KCI. This receiving team player must be given a completely unobstructed, unmolested, unimpeded opportunity to complete the catch. In our opinion, he is not given that. So we would have supported a foul for KCI here. In fact, we would like a foul for KCI on this play. Because, and again, it's a tough play. I'm not saying it's not a tough play because he doesn't even make contact. But to be clear, even if the ball hits the kicking team player at this point, which I don't think it does, or if it's or he makes contact with the receiver, it's obviously KCI. But even without contact, in our opinion, this is enough that it causes the receiving team player to not be given an unobstructed opportunity to complete the catch. And we would support KCI as the training committee here. Tough play. Play 50, keep your eyes on the quarterback. It's number 8. So we get an interception. And what I love about this play, so we get an interception, we get a return, keep our eyes back here on the quarterback, gets absolutely blown up here on the left side of the screen, right? And our referee correctly comes in. I think we actually get a flag from the short wing. Doesn't really matter. We get a correct call for a blindside block. A note to the referees in a 6 or 7 person crew. I know we all think that once we get an interception, the most important thing is goal line, right? We got to get to the goal line. The most important player on the field, and referees know this, everybody knows this, the most important player on the field is the quarterback. So yeah, you do want to start heading towards the goal line, but always, always, always get your eyes on the quarterback, because those of us that have played football or been around it know defensive players, once they get an interception, they think, man, I can go light the quarterback up, right? And that's what we get here. And so we get a correct call for a blindside block. But I'd like to see our referees, just something to think about when we get an interception like this, find the quarterback, right? He's not protected under the high school rules. He's not a defenseless player under the high school rules like he is at other levels. But referees, once you get an interception, your most important thing isn't to get to the goal line. Your most important thing is to get your eyes on this quarterback so that we can make sure he doesn't get lit up like he does here. So this is correctly called as an illegal blindside block. Play 28, we're going to be talking about, I'll give you guys a circle. It's the nose tackle in the center right here. So this matchup, you can see they start fine, but then the defensive tackle clearly gets his hands up towards the head or neck and then rips the offensive player's helmet off. We've just got to get a foul here. Obviously, primary would be the umpire since this is the center and D tackle, but also referee. You know, think about this. I know it's a 5 wide receiver set. Referee should be on the left tackle. Right about here, it's clear that there's a double team, so that block doesn't need a ton of attention, and this should have, as we call it, a breach in the wall. This is the potential breach in the wall, so the referee can maybe help us out on this. Again, primary is definitely the umpire, but referee can maybe help us on this as well. Just clearly rips his helmet off. So we should have a foul for defensive hands to the face. Unfortunately, we get an interception, and we should have had hands to the face against the defense, so that would have mattered. The next aspect of this play is whether his helmet is ripped off or not, which it is, so he should have had a foul for hands to the face. Number 77 is not allowed to participate. I don't consider this participation. He's just kind of standing there, so I would not consider this participation. So I would not flag 77 for illegal participation. Another part of the rule is no player that has lost their helmet can be blocked. If a player does not have a helmet, you're not allowed to block them. He's not allowed to participate, and nobody's allowed to block him. And you can see the defensive team player kind of rushes right at him. It's not a ton of contact. I can understand I could justify and I could maybe support saying, hey, they kind of just kind of blocked each other. There's not a ton of contact. It wasn't vicious. And moving on. But it is a rule. The defensive player is not allowed to go, and he kind of rushes at 77, who's just kind of standing there, not doing anything. And then the defensive player rushes at him to block him. So if you called a foul against number 51 here at the defense, I would support it. Because 77 is just kind of standing there, and a player runs at him. What's he supposed to do, right? So if you called this a personal foul against the defensive team for initiating a block against a helmetless player, I would support that. I do like, again, this goes back to my previous point. Referees, after you get a change of possession, everybody's thinking about goal line, right? But we should kind of recognize that this is a problem. And I actually kind of like that our referee is keeping his eyes on this as opposed to running away from everybody to get to the goal line. This has to have attention because what if these two kids start fighting, right? And so, yeah, our initial responsibility is to try to get to the goal line, but you can see our short wings have the goal line covered. And our referee is maybe holding back a little bit to just stay with the potential problem of this player without a helmet. And I don't have major fault with that because getting back to the goal line when we have help from our short wings isn't as important as these two players that are maybe squaring off to fight. So I don't have a problem with that at all. I do wish we would have called the illegal hands to the face against the defensive tackle here, taking his helmet off. We should have absolutely had a foul for that. And then during the return, we would have supported a foul for a defensive player for blocking a player without a helmet. Next play is play 59. So let's talk about sideline plays, that no catch plays at the edge. So this is an interesting play. We're holding the line of scrimmage. We get a pass. We get a catch, no catch ruling here, right? Our short wing's in pretty good position. It does look like he gets 2 feet in bounds, as a matter of fact. But what I don't like here is, so we do a lot of things well. Short wing's holding the line of scrimmage. As soon as the pass is thrown, we get in a position to rule. And then we kind of come up and we sell the call and we rule this a catch. I can defend that, but our mechanics need to get cleaned up. So short wings, once you get this action, you have to turn and face this player out of bounds. We have to face all this action. These two players are in the opposing team bench. That's the first thing we have to do. We have to get these kids out of the Jackson bench. The second reason on this play that you have to turn and face this out of bounds action is because you have to find the football. Because this receiver is going to the ground in the process of completing the catch. So even though right here he has 2 feet in bounds, if he goes to the ground and at any point right now this ball squirts out, it's incomplete by rule. And if you run up here and never even look at it, for all we know, the ball might be laying on the ground, right? So we do okay here. Don't get me wrong, it's not terrible. But we have to, as our short wing, we have to do a better job. We just have to turn and face these players out of bounds, and we have to verify that the offensive player completed the catch by surviving the ground. So that's it this week. A few interesting plays. I hope you enjoyed the video. We're only at about 22 minutes, so there's no offensive holding video this week. This is the only one we're going to do, so hope you'll forgive the long video. Enjoy the last week of the regular season, and have fun out there.